So before we get started with our guest speakers this evening, just for those that are new to Pechakucha, I just want to give you a little bit of background on what this style of speaking is. So Pechakucha was devised in Tokyo in 2003 as a way for young designers to meet, network, and show their work in public. Pechakucha events are now taking place all around the world in over 1,200 cities. It draws its name from the Japanese term of the sound of chit-chat. So Pechakucha events are based on a simple presentation formats where speakers present 20 slides each for only 20 seconds per slide. It's a format that makes presentation concise and keeps things moving at a quick pace. So this iwill week, we have daily themes to explore, and today we're looking at, are we really working together? What we need to learn about working across sectors. So tonight, we have asked our 6 lovely guest speakers, made up of iwill ambassadors and partners, to speak on the theme of together. What does together mean to them? Um, for our guest speakers, it doesn't matter what direction, what story, what experience they want to share, as long as it relates to the theme in some way with their own unique take on the theme of together. So instead of holding us all back, let's introduce our first guest speaker for this evening. So if I can have Beth Dennett, Beth, iwill ambassador. Hi, Beth. How are you?
Hi, good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for joining us this evening. Um, I'm just going to share a quick little bio about yourself as our lovely technician Anna is pulling up your slides. So real quickly, Beth is a newly appointed iwill ambassador who is currently studying to become a children's nurse in university. Her social actions journey started back in 2014, which has been focused around healthcare. She has a passion for making services more accessible and inclusive. So welcome, Beth. Are you ready to take on your Pechakucha for this evening?
Yeah, ready.
Cool. Just give me 1 second. I'll disappear. And when you're good to go, just let Anna know that you're ready to begin.
Cool. Yeah, I'm ready when you are, Anna. So, hi everyone. Hope you're all having a great day. So, my youth action journey started in 2014 at a school for kids with complex needs. Within the school, all the staff, parents, and children and volunteers worked together to make the school accessible, a safe place, and a positive atmosphere. And I really loved volunteering at the school. It was once we went on school trips that I realised this togetherness wasn't happening very much outside of the school. Able bodied individuals were putting steps and no ramps. Tables were too close together in cafes, preventing a wheelchair from going through. There were barely any disability friendly toilets. The list could go on. The world was so inaccessible for these children, and this motivated me to take action. So I joined Birmingham Women's and Children's Hospital's Young Person Advisory Group, a group working together to make services more accessible and young person centred. I've spoke at conferences, completed patient experience walkabouts, become chair of the group, and so much more. As a group, we hope to inspire staff to involve service users in all decisions. This was the first time that I really felt listened to. I realised the power of working together and the power of the youth. In YPAG, I really learned the importance of not just listening, but wanting change. We're not just here to tick a box or token gesture help. We want change and we want to have a positive effect. For example, a children's hospital shouldn't look like a hospital, in my opinion. So we challenged this. After a while of pushing the idea, a space ward was created. We worked together with service users and staff to create a calming space. These are images of ceiling tiles added so that while you're lying in bed, you can see the stars. We are now working on getting an aquarium put in, but this is a whole new story and a lot more challenging than I thought. So, the work that I witnessed within my volunteering and the sense of community within the hospital inspired me to now train to become a nurse at the Children's Hospital. I really love working with so many different people, and you potentially get to make the worst day of someone's life a little better. Another passion of mine is the environment. Within YPAG, I was lucky enough to speak on the BBC and ITV about climate change as part of Ride for Their Lives, a bike ride set up by healthcare workers and service users to deliver a climate prescription to COP26. The climate crisis is a huge worry for myself and many other young people. I felt listened to at the event and the support was amazing, but I didn't feel like we were all in this together. Big pollutants like Coca-Cola continue to be the highest polluting company, yet they were the sponsor of COP27. How can this be happening in this day? I sometimes feel like young people are shouting for change, but the leaders that can implement this huge change and have the power are not working with us. They are listening but choosing not to take action. A brilliant example of a climate activist who we all know is Greta Thunberg. She is amazing and has really brought so many people together to help combat this crisis. She has used her voice to literally change the world. My journey has also brought me to a lot of volunteer sport events. I have been a keen member of the parkrun and scouting community for many years. I was also lucky enough to be one of the 14,000 volunteers at the Commonwealth Games last summer. The event brought so many people together, people that maybe wouldn't cross paths in everyday life. The event is over, but the energy will stay in Birmingham for a long time. A city that often has a bad reputation show how, as a community, we can make things happen together. The Games didn't only involve sport. The Games invested in youth-led projects. I recently attended and spoke at Elevate 22, looking at some of the legacy projects. The Games cared about the people behind the city and recognised the youth voice. I hope this Games will help support co-production being more widely used. The Games showed the power of the youth. The BBC recently surveyed that 80% of young people volunteer or complete social action work. This is probably the highest proportion compared to any other age population. Young people care about their community, their future, and our world. There is this stereotype that young people are lazy, moody, are constantly on their phones, when this really isn't this case. And the BBC clearly highlighted this. So this is my passion. I want to get that changed. I don't want teenagers to be known as this lazy stereotype. I really wanted to support young people to get involved in youth action work, as it has truly changed my life. So this year I became an iwill ambassador. I'm sure you all know what iwill is, but just in case you don't, iwill is a youth empowerment movement supporting young people to make positive change. We recently had a residential meetup, which was amazing. I love listening to everyone's stories and journeys, and it really motivated me to want to do more. I learned about so many incredible young person-led campaigns. For example, campaigns to combat loneliness in young people, help reduce plastic pollution, empower young people to find opportunities and find their voice. We are all working so hard within our communities, and iwill gave us an opportunity to link up and network. We all now support each other and linked our mini communities to build this new, bigger community. We're all sharing ideas and expertise. In short, I honestly don't know if we're truly working together. So many communities are working together more, but there's still sometimes a divide. Youth action work isn't smooth sailing, but I love it. Sometimes many hurdles get in your way, and it can be hard, but never give up. It can take a while for you to find your passion and find the answers, but once you have it, there really is nothing that can stop you. I've tried a few volunteer roles, but they haven't always been right for me, and they might not be right for you, but that's okay. I've learned the hard way that you can't help everyone, but if everyone fights for their passion, then all areas of social action work should get the help and support they deserve. Whenever I'm doing anything, I think about the quote, be the change you want to see. Youth action work can be scary, but if no one takes action, then there'll never be any change. We're all experts by our own experiences, and we can all use that skill. Another thing that has supported my work is my hero, Helen Skelton, an absolute legend in my eyes. She achieves things that no other person has. She really took the quote, be the change you want to see, to a whole new level. So this is my journey so far, and this is only part of my journey. I want to emphasize part and so far. I hope this is just the start, and this is just 20 slides to represent the last 8 years. A lot more has happened, and a lot of hard work goes into youth action work. Volunteering has changed my life for the better and made me the person I am today. Thinking about the future can be quite scary, but when you go to events like this and you see all the amazing people around you, you realize how bright the future really can be. Young people are the future, but we're also the energy of today. Let's change this typical teenager stereotype. Thank you. And please check out my Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to message me if you have any questions or if there's anything I can support you with. And thank you so much for listening.
Awesome. Round of applause for Beth. Thank you for being first on the list of guest speakers this evening, which is always a nerve-wracking task to take on. I loved it. This is just the beginning. This has just been the 8 years of what you've done so far in terms of your youth action or your youth social action journey, and we look forward to continue to supporting you and all the other iwill ambassadors to continue making change or being the change that you want to see within your community. So thank you so much, Beth. And there's a lot of love for you in the chat box right now. A lot of there's amazing from Katie, emojis, hand claps. Yeah, all the love. Thank you so
you.
much, Beth. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now that we've had our first presenter, I want to invite our next guest speaker, Evan, who is also an iwill ambassador. So as Evan is coming onto the screen.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Evan. So just a quick little bio or introduction to Evan. So Evan is 16 years old, a 2022 iwill ambassador, and a member of the British Exploring Society. As a young change maker, he hopes to be a role model to young people through using the wilderness and nature. He has always had a love for the outdoors, and his most recent expedition was to Kyrgyzstan, where he spent 6 weeks exploring a remote mountain range, which I think you'll hear a little bit more in just a few minutes here. He spent much of the time with traditional nomadic Kyrgyz herders who taught him some incredible important life lessons. He learned the value of bringing people together, creating human connections in every aspect of life, breaking down barriers between us, and being genuinely hospitable. Their values inspired him to believe that everyone and anyone can make change on any scale, and this was all through learning the simple meaning of tea. So, without further ado, I'll pass the mic over to Evan.
Cool, thank you. I'm ready, ready whenever. Hi, my name's Evan. I am a very keen outdoorsman and love being out in nature, teaching other young people to have a passion for it too, and showing them the incredible positive effect it can have on our mental health. Last year, I became a member of the British Exploring Society, and since then, I've been on 2 expeditions with them. The most recent was in a very remote mountain range in a country called Kyrgyzstan. For the 6 weeks we spent out there, we hiked through the stunning and incredibly beautiful valley, surrounded by mountains jutting up 1,000 meters. As we swam in crystal clear rivers and lakes, summited peaks in the sunshine and in blizzards, and experiences so many other truly magical things. But it might surprise you to know that it wasn't these things that had the biggest impact on me. No. Dotted throughout these valleys were small groups of yurts, which are home to nomadic herding families. It was our interactions with these people and experiencing their culture that really had the biggest impact on me, and one couple in particular, Umabek and Darika. An elderly Kyrgyz lady called us over. Initially, we thought she was inviting us in to drink kummas with her family, a traditional drink of salty fermented horse milk. But instead, we were offered a cup of tea and a feast of bread, jam, butter, cheese, sweets, watermelon, and borsod, little pieces of fried bread. And then they opened up their home and invited us to spend the night in their yurt. Why did this have an impact on me? What was it about these people that broke down the barriers between us? In our culture, it's almost unheard of to welcome a bunch of strangers into your home, to feed them and give them a bed for the night, especially if they don't speak your own language. On reflection, I think it had such a huge impact on me because the hospitality they showed us was genuine. There was no monetary exchange. It wasn't like some tourist cultural experience we had to pay. No, these people had just given us a week or 2 of their supplies. And when you live literally in the middle of nowhere, your food supplies are one of the most valuable things you possess. Yet they openly and genuinely wanted to share with us and treat us not as strangers, but honor guests. No matter what us Brits think, tea can't solve all the problems in the world. After all, physically, it's just hot water with some leaves in it. But it's what tea symbolizes and the values and feelings that comes with it that when you share a cuppa that can change things. The feeling of connectedness, friendship, welcome, genuine hospitality, and togetherness. For hundreds of years, tea has played a significant role all over the world in different cultures. In China, in Kyrgyzstan, in Morocco. Ceremonies are held, arguments are resolved, and strangers become friends. Tea takes on many different forms: herbal or black, milk, no milk, tea bag or loose leaf, cup or mug and saucer. But after all, at its heart, it shares the same value: to bring people together, share, and create human connections. Words aren't usually my thing, but according to the Free Dictionary, there are 3,023 words that end in T. Words like community, hospitality, diversity, connectivity, and unity. But did you know there are 41,159 words that begin with the letter T? Together begins with T. As iwill ambassadors, we all have a common interest to make a difference. Even if we are all working on different things, we're still all working towards the same goal: creating connections and sharing values as a group of young people who all care about making a difference. And this is really important. We are all going to be working together, so we're going to have to trust each other. We're going to have to understand each other, know each other, what we're fighting for and what we care about. And this is critical. So remember, together begins with T and unity ends with T. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. What a strong way to finish. I love it, of bringing your experience of being in Kyrgyzstan and how, those nomadic people brought you in and accepted you and showed you the hospitality and what community and what togetherness how can all really start with, with a simple, like you said, items such as tea. So that's fantastic to hear that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Lots of love in the chat box for you too, Evan. So feel free to share some love back to them too. Yeah, and hopefully we can share a cup of tea sometime in the near future in person to talk about the amazing work that we'll continue to do. Okay. Thank you, Evan.
Bye.
Awesome. How's everyone doing? Doing okay? Just checking in to see how the vibe is, how the energy is. Great. Keep the love, keep the support in the chat box going. We have a few more guest speakers lined up this evening. And on that note, I want to invite our next speaker for this evening, Bhavik from the Royal Life Saving Society UK, to the screen.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hey, Bhavik. Thank you for joining us tonight. So just a quick little introduction to Bhavik. So Bhavik is a volunteer with the Royal Life Saving Society UK. His interests in drowning prevention stem from a young age, enrolling in the life-saving awards offered by his club in Windsor, training as an instructor, and he has since undertaken a number of leadership roles within the charity. He is a member of the RLSS UK Youth Leadership Team and advocates for youth empowerment, diversity, equality, and inclusion in life-saving. His work regionally as a youth development officer has helped strengthen links with a variety of partner organizations, including the local fire and rescue services, search and rescue providers, and local youth organization. Vocationally, Bhavik earned his PhD from the University of Southampton in 2022, congratulations, and worked as a scientist providing consultancy services to a number of government and non-government organizations in the biosecurity sector. What an amazing bio that you have there. Are you ready for your Pecha Kucha this evening?
Absolutely, ready to go.
Cool. I'll disappear and then the floor is yours.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. So my name is Bhavik Barotia, and I am a volunteer with the Royal Life Saving Society UK. I've worked alongside the charity for over a decade, both as an instructor and as a life-saving club member, but also as the youth engagement officer for the region. And over the last few years, I've been a member of the youth leadership team for the organisation at a national level, championing the youth voice and helping to deliver drowning prevention education. So water surrounds the world we live in. It's whether it's the water we drink, bathe in, or swim in. But it's water that has potential risks and dangers and a number of hidden threats that sometimes we just overlook. Did you know over 44% of drownings happen during the months between May and August, when people are accessing the UK waters more than any other time of the year? And the hidden dangers we don't see, such as tides, depths, and wildlife, as well as currents and riptides, are all potential dangers which could potentially mean that someone loses their life. Here at the RLSS UK, we are a charity focused on drowning prevention education. And whether it's of professional lifeguards or volunteers and of our young people, we believe in bringing communities together, helping them to keep safe and educating the nation about enjoying water safely. We help create environments for the general public to enjoy. And by training lifeguards, the ones that you may see at the beaches, training lifeguards that you may see at the pool, we are the UK's largest training provider for water rescue education and qualifications. And we've helped the UK become a world leader in safety and enabling further influence across the Commonwealth. And this is through our young members as well. Our training doesn't just teach people how to rescue from the water, but we work alongside other organisations as part of this togetherness programme, such as the Resuscitation Council UK, to deliver world-leading first aid education. And this training does trickle through our volunteer community and is delivered in schools, community groups and lifesaving clubs by people like me and others. The picture you see here is of my lifesaving club itself. And our lifesaving clubs engage so many different people. Anyone can learn how to save a life, and that's what we believe, from all backgrounds and abilities. We're really promoting togetherness by linking local organisations to provide both poolside and open water life-saving skills to people for a fraction of the cost. And as a club located near the River Thames, that was something that our club really focused on. Inclusivity is a part of our organisation, and that's why we worked with the Civil Aviation Authority to deliver the first ever Drone Rescue Award, which you can see here. And this would not ordinarily be available to many people and members of the public. The RLSS UK works closely with leisure operators, and these are things that I'm very much passionate about to ensure that pools can be accessible and safe for everyone. We work alongside many organisations, most of the water parks and holiday operators, to constantly create and develop new training programs, and something that our volunteers are very much a part of. It was only this year we saw the launch of the National Lifesaving Academy, this vocational qualification which anyone can undertake, which allows people, and especially our young members, to engage and give back into their local organisations, coupling lifesaving sports, rescue, first aid, and volunteering as part of one national award. My experience has been very much as part of the youth leadership team, guiding how we can make this organisation work for our young members, and bringing together volunteers from all communities and from a diverse range of backgrounds to really contribute to that change and really empower the youth voice for the charity for the future. Our members provide training, education, and amazing experiences to members of the public, where they learn how to save a life, whether it's delivering it to young and expecting mums, to the parents and potentially the elderly demographic. We aim to try and create enabling environments for training. And as you can see there, we provide it in all environments. Over the pandemic, we really promoted togetherness by joining with local organizations to organize beach cleans and partner with local businesses to try and encourage increased funding to supply teams with people to help clean their local beaches and the environment. And working through different universities, we were able to access many different young people to try and encourage people to be aware of how to stay safe in and around the water after drinking. Our annual Don't Drink and Drown campaign, which launched for this year just today, is a really, really strong way to access so many different groups of young people. And likewise, our Drowning Prevention Week is a fantastic way to promote togetherness, encourage education in schools, encourage leisure operators to get involved, but also encourage you guys to get involved with what we are aiming to do, which is really bring up that level of education in the UK about how to stay safe in and around the water. One drowning is too many, and we really believe that we could change the future for young people in this country and all demographics in this country to promote saving lives. I hope I've convinced you that this is a very worthy cause. Our youth leadership team are always excited to get involved with young people. And if you think that you can bring something to us or we can help you, we would love to link up with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bhavik. I've learned so much about RLSS in that super short and concise presentation, and I encourage everyone to definitely connect with RLSS to learn a little bit more about the work that you do, or like pulling from Evan's presentation, have a chat, come together over tea to see how you can work together and really save
I'm
lives.
happy to have a
Right?
cup of tea with anybody.
Exactly. No commitments needed, just to come and have a cuppa of any sort.
Absolutely.
And also a lot of love in the chat box for you too. So just make sure to check out the chat box and to show some love and support back to everyone who's in the audience this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. Cool. So we have a couple more presenters to go. So up next, we have Fatima, who is also an iwill ambassador. Hi, Fatima.
Hi. Excuse
Thank
me.
you for
Hi.
joining us this evening. I'm just going to quickly just introduce you to the audience, and then I'll pass the mic over to you. So Fatima is 15 years old, and like I said, is iwill ambassador. She started to get involved in youth social action during lockdown, where she saw the real challenges people were facing and had been for a while. This led Fatima to join multiple groups in the hopes of making a change, such as her local youth forum and Lancashire Minds, where she could use her voice to address the issues she was interested in tackling. Fatima endeavored to continue supporting the iwill movement and continue to engage in opportunities that better people's lives and her own through these rewarding experiences. So welcome again, Fatima, this evening. And then I'll pass the mic over to you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so as you know, this week is about focusing on youth social action, which iwill celebrates, especially during this week. It's about coming together regardless of where you come from with the intent of making a change for the better, benefiting not only one person, but groups of people as a way of amplifying their voices to improve our lives and the communities we live in. If we all take action, we can all make a difference. So with the agenda, are we really working together for today? This is my picture picture. Among the many things together literally means, it's the idea of a collective companionship of people at the same time striving for a common goal. And that is what makes it so important. It discards matters such as race and gender as a criteria as people join as one for a shared cause. That is something we know iwill to be great at, a real sense of inclusion and the sole purpose of allowing young people to celebrate their work and increase the impact they have, giving them a forum to keep and doing the voluntary work they do. We embrace our differences and backgrounds while using a passion for an issue we feel strongly for as fuel to spark a change. Being individuals in a wider society, taking part in small, meaningful action can cause a positive multiplier effect. For example, from ideas such as reducing litter in our environment, many can be involved in litter picking, lobbying a local MP, putting more bins in our area, and raising awareness of the impact of litter, showing how working together can really benefit communities. Specifically for youth social action, young people viewing areas in need of change shows aspirations for their view of the future and how there must be a collaborative effort between them and people in places of power to make an environment they feel is safe. Part of working together is listening, discussing, and most importantly, acting. Using their contributions, actually making changes is important and the key part of the action that young people are part of. In all, young people have many ideas that can make our areas better. However, there is a certain extent they are able to do that. Personally, I think we need more cooperation with adults that have the capacity to put their views into practice, which again comes down to working together. If we are able to improve the ability to turn ideas into reality, we will be able to see a huge turnover in our communities. For example, being part of a local youth forum, I see the impact of young people having a voice. This is as the group who represent the young people in our town are consulted by council workers from all different areas to do with many pressing issues of current, like food poverty or barriers to education. The sense of inclusivity between young and working people contributing together is encouraging to continue sharing my voice on issues I feel need to be addressed, as I see changes really happening, improving the condition of our area, especially with it being a place rife with poverty. When groups of people or communities are divided, it makes it hard to achieve goals as you are not using people's individual skill set as an advantage to the team. It means it's hard to gain social connections for when they grow older, and it's also essential for a child to express their views to develop their confidence and character. The importance of teamwork is part of human nature. Even from the earliest times, working together to achieve a common goal meant mankind was able to develop and build complex societies which helped them with the flourishment of society and growth of the species. By uniting very diverse groups of young people to work together to create change, we can ensure this change is inclusive of all different types of people and communities, so any change we make as young people will have the greatest impact. There is also diversity in opinions and skills, so the work done for change has a wide scope. It's important to know that effective collaboration can't happen without effective communication. So personally, I think to improve the ethic of working together, we need to create a culture of respect and discussion where young people aren't solely the givers of ideas, but recipients of information that can widen their point of view that they may not be able to access ordinarily, increasing how effective their opinions are. This also promotes a theme of involvement, so passionate young people can continue to share their thoughts that can overall lead to a better, brighter society. It also helps to break down the stereotype of idle teenagers, which further empowers us, which starts with a collective effort to strive for something. Through the example of Greta Thunberg, we can really see the power of acting as one. With her cause to alleviate pressures on the environment, she was instrumental in sparking conversations with greater awareness of the impact we have had in climate change for all ages. Through her work, she has inspired millions to take part in a movement to be better carers of the earth, while consulting with world leaders made impactful due to an effort people have made together. If we continue, more young people can be represented, so more opportunities for them to voice their thoughts allows them to shape the future. Young people are the next generation of workers and leaders, so anything they can change from now creates a better working and social environment for their adulthood. A belief in the power of together can amplify their voice and give them a chance that they will be unable to have without it. During iwill Week, participating in events is a great way to unite as a body of people who have a passion to create a change. Even now, as part of this meeting, we have come together to share our views on what we can do to support youth social action, which might be something we all feel is important. To conclude, the author Edward Everett Hale said, "Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success." Thank you so much for listening to my Petra Creature.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Fatima. There are so many great points in that I 100% agree with you. Cooperation, giving respect to young people, and not only are young people the next generation, your leaders of today, and any change that young people are making is super valid and super impactful. And I think you said it, this event tonight in its own self is just the very beginning. So I challenge everyone who's here this evening, if you want to start building that togetherness, that collaborative working, and ensuring that we're creating space and giving young people the respect that they need, feel free to share your contact details if you want to have a cup of tea with someone, or just to have a conversation of how can we continue coming together and make today the first day or the first instance or that first moment to have these moments of together. So thank you, Fatima, for so many great poignant points in your presentation.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, glad that you had fun, and there's a lot of love for you in the chat box. So please do check out the comments there. That was, some comments around that was super inspiring, some great advice, some great thoughts. So definitely go soak up some of that love in the chat box. So thank you so much, Fatima. Yeah. How's everyone doing? Just checking in. I know that I can't see you, so the chat box is really my friend this evening. But hopefully the energy is still there. Continue sharing your thoughts to the chat box, whether that's a few lovely comments via text or words, or just showing some love through the emojis and the reactions in the chat box. Like I said, if you feel comfortable, feel free to share where you're from, what organization you're part of, or what movement you're part of, and if you are happy to connect with other people that are in attendance, not only tonight but throughout iwill week. So let's continue moving forward. On to our next speaker, we have Eddie. If I can invite Eddie to the platform.
Hey.
Hey, Eddie, thanks for hanging out backstage. Hope you're ready for tonight.
Yeah, there are some really brilliant presentations. I've got a tricky, I'm not quite sure what the word is, tricky thing to beat.
It's not a competition at all. This
Not a
is
competition.
an opportunity for us to share our viewpoints and our different perspectives this evening. So don't treat it as a competition at all. And just a little selfish plug. Earlier today, Eddie and fellow iwill ambassador Lela, who I think is also in the audience this evening, held a wonderful Instagram live speaking about COP27. So check out at iwill_movement on our Instagram account. If you missed that Instagram live discussion earlier today, there is a recording there to kind of check out with our two lovely guest speakers. Remind me, who were the guest speakers again, Eddie?
Mel and Kello, and they were brilliant. They were really brilliant. It's a really great conversation. I highly recommend.
I second that. So after this event or at any point during this week, please do check out our Instagram page for more lovely content by iwill ambassadors such as Eddie here. So just a quick little introduction to Eddie. So Eddie is 17 years old, a climate and human rights activist. As a member of the UNICEF UK Youth Advisory Board, is also a UNICEF UK Youth Advisory Board member from 2019 to 2021. He campaigned for children's rights and youth voice. Recently, he was the program coordinator for the National Youth Climate Conference, LCOY UK 2022, which provided a UK youth climate statement for COP27. Eddie is also an avid writer, poet, and robotics enthusiast. Didn't know that about you. We need to have a conversation after this.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Love to hear more about it. And to learn a little bit more about the amazing work that Eddie does, follow Eddie at Twitter at @EddieRose_ after this event. So passing the mic over to you, Eddie.
Yes, I'm ready to begin. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Nice to be here, and thank you for having this. I'm also talking on togetherness. I'm going to do a quick fire exploration of togetherness in activism, the importance of it, bringing it down to the very basics. And I think as the theme of iwill week today is, are we really working together? So I'll be exploring that in a few different ways, starting with standing together and the importance of standing together in terms of social movements and activism and protesting where we can and taking action together. I'm going to be looking at a few different examples and how activism is intertwined with respect and inclusivity. And we're going to look at some examples from recent history and from past and from a long time ago. Bringing it back to basics, we are stronger together. We are so much stronger together. We support each other and we learn from each other and we collaborate together. And when we do that, we make real change, which is quite exciting, actually, especially when we work with people with different skills and when we kind of, stand together. Together we rise. We've seen a lot of really effective and creative protests over the last few years, and people coming together in so many different ways, so many different new movements, so many different people coming from different walks of life and joining together in a fight. For example, the fight against climate change. Climate change is a horrible, catastrophic threat, but also it gives us a common threat to unite against. And it's been incredible to see young people across the world taking action, getting to the streets, doing litter picks, and there's a real power in that when we are together against a common enemy. Pride is perhaps the greatest example of an inclusive movement founded on on unity, and is such a great example of the real direct impact that just standing together has on people. It makes people feel heard, and that is so important, especially when LGBTQ+ rights are under threat across the world. We're together against oppression. Oppression, by its very nature, can only be dismantled when we work together. When we work together from grassroots to kind of on the wider scale, and it's really, really very important to kind of work across sectors, work with different people. An example from history of this is the Battle of Cable Street. You may have heard about this. 1936, 6,000 or 3,000 fascists, this is before World War II, were marching in London in the Jewish East End, and 100,000 anti-fascists turned out to oppose them, which is such an incredible demonstration of the fact that people were standing together against, that they were not going to stand for hatred. Now, second part of the presentation, working together. This has changed a lot over the last few years, as the slides will show in a minute. But working together has never been more important, also never been more accessible, right? Because, I mean, I'm talking to you guys over Zoom, not Zoom, a different platform. And this is me with another organization who were able to have people working for them across the UK. They'd never been able to do that before. Not to say that the Skype wasn't available, but it wasn't as widespread. People didn't know about it. People didn't know how to use it as much. You can have Zoom calls with people across the world. I had a chat with people from Australia. It was amazing. I've got a question for you. Have a think about it. What responsibilities do we have to each other when we're working together? Do we owe each other? How much do we owe each other? How much? What do we owe each other? Respect. We owe each other inclusivity. What else do we owe each other? Have a think about it. Let people know your ideas in the chat if you'd like. To work together, we must overcome our differences. This is in terms of different people from different groups, but also in terms of different ideas and different opinions. We need to work with people who are different to us in order to create change. I mean, that's why one of the reasons the iwill movement is so powerful, because it brings together people from across the UK. However, when we're working with people who are different to us, how far can we sacrifice our principles for unity? How do we work with people who have horrible views? Do we try and change their views, or how do we deal with that? It's a really tricky philosophical question that I'd like to pose again to you. Have a think about it. How important is unity compared to challenging people on their views? Total change of subject. Birds and nature, they collaborate in incredible ways. Murmurations, starlings create murmurations by working together in swarms, and it is phenomenal to watch, and it's the marvel of nature, really. It's so inspiring, and we can learn from nature and reflect the majesty of nature in our own work. I was lucky enough to learn about swarm theory, the theory of when animals work together in swarms. Bees work together to build things incredibly, and there's this thing called functional heterogeneity, which means that bees and animals in swarms have different personalities and they act differently, but those differences in behavior together make the swarm more effective, which I think is really incredible. It shows the importance of diversity for unity. Final part of the presentation, being together. This is so important. It's okay to want just to be together after 2 years of COVID and lockdown. It really is something. It feels good to chat with other people, to hang out, to talk about, to plan ideas for creating change, to have fun, right? It's important, and we can make a we can make a big deal about that, because we had 2 years of lockdown. This was the event Tony mentioned in my bio, LCOY UK, Local Conference of Youth. It fed into a international system of conferences. It was just wonderful to bring people to this to the University of Manchester for a day, and to hear people chatting at lunch and making new friends. Final point: the power of storytelling is, if you want to bring people together, tell them a story. Stories, they draw people in. They are perhaps the best way to bring people together, especially with social change. The power of storytelling should never be underestimated. That brings me to my final thought, a quote from a young person's poem I found on the internet, on the website Voices of Youth. Definitely check it out. It's where young people can write poems and blogs. I am one person, you are one person, but together we can move mountains. Let that sink in. I think it's really powerful. I think it summarizes everything. And thank you very much for listening to me. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you so much, Eddie. Round of applause. Fantastic work. Yeah. Remember, it wasn't a competition at all, and there were some great questions there proposed to the audience, and hopefully everyone's had a moment to quickly reflect on some of those questions that Eddie shared there. And what a great way to wrap it up. That final quote definitely is a poignant one. So yeah, lots of love for you in the chat box, Eddie. So feel free to share some of the love back to those in the audience tonight. And if you have any reflections from some any of those questions that Eddie proposed in his presentation, feel free to throw your response into the chat or comment box. So thank you again, Eddie. Yeah.
Well, thank you to everyone else who's speaking. They've been so inspiring.
Yes, they have been. Thanks, Eddie. How's everyone doing? Just checking in. So we are actually ahead of schedule, which is rare. You know, usually we tend to always be running right to the wire or just, you know, over just by a couple of minutes. So we're moving swiftly and we're moving quickly. So we're on to our final presenter for this evening. So if I can invite Uzi or Usman to the screen, please.
Hello.
Hi, Uzi. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. Thanks for hanging tight and being our last guest speaker for this evening. So real quickly, just a little bio introduction to Uzi or Usman. So Uzi is 23 years old from Luton and is currently attending Nottingham Trent University and studying youth work. Uzi has been an ambassador for the last 5 years, so you can call him an OG. Not an old guy, but an original iwill ambassador, and is currently also a student youth work volunteer at a local youth center. Uzi also runs NCS programs over the summertime as a wave leader, and he also volunteers as a Bedfordshire Police as a volunteer police officer, special constable, and cadet trainer, supporting the cadet unit where he's in charge of running the cadet council and looking after well-being and safeguarding. In addition to that, Uzi is also a trustee and ambassador for several organizations and has a passion for youth voice, youth social action, and safeguarding. And if you're interested in following the work that Uzi does, his in the general chat box, if you see his login name, that is his handle. It's a bunch of different letters. So USMXNAHMXD1 across most social media platform.
Yeah. Across everything.
Across everything. You heard that here from Uzi. So passing the mic over to you. Have fun.
Yeah, wicked. Let's go. Cool. So I just want to start off with like the definition of togetherness. I believe it's the feeling and action of being close to others, sometimes for a common purpose, a shared sense of purpose, and belonging. We are introduced to sharing from a young person, like for example, when we go to nursery or toddler groups, we take this skill and continue with it daily for the rest of our lives. Like sharing toys and stuff like that. We then share our journeys with others, such as peers, friends, colleagues. However, our journeys may be similar, but they are also unique and different. Along our journey, we experience many different things, and different things happen to us. This makes our story. From this, we learn different things, and at different times, and our surroundings teach us a lot. We meet people that teach us different lessons, skills, and share different experiences with us. We share loads of experiences with one another, and it usually brings us together, like shown within this photo. I love this photo because it just depicts that phrase about like, what's it called? Teach a man how to fish, and you can like feed him forever, or whatever that phrase is. But you guys know it. I forgot it from the top of my head. Many different things bring us together, like world events, discussions, disasters, and we shake hands with this and embrace them. We also use other people's experiences to learn, and this can also bring us together because they may have experienced something in their life that they may have experienced something that is in their life that we are experiencing now, and we can share this experience together. I think I'm a little bit ahead of my thing. I've lost my train of thought. We shake our hands with this and embrace them. We also use other people's experiences to learn, and this can also bring us together because they have may experienced the same thing at a different stage in their life. Historical events have brought us together. The MLK movement ended segregation and counteracted prejudice through the means of peaceful protests. Similarly, more recent events like the Black Lives Matter movement, a much more recent event created through the death of George Floyd, but once again brought people together to fight for racial equality. And we've seen loads of movements like this. The iwill movement is one movement that embraces youth social action. We've also other events have also affected us and bring us together as well. For example, the COVID-19 pandemic. This brought us together as a country, helping our neighbors, supporting those that are vulnerable by, for example, going shopping for them. Again, bringing together communities as well as those from different age groups, such as young people stepping up to support the elderly by doing basic things for them, like going shopping for them, taking out the bins where we are stuck in a pandemic. Public services show us the importance of working together and have a shared sense of togetherness, as it's probably one of the most important things when working in these roles. Teamwork, ensuring everyone pitches in and does their best when dealing with big incidents that are usually life or death, bringing teams together as they support one another. And individuality. This picture depicts individuality as we all look different, we talk different, the way we look, the way we dress, and the journeys that we have taken. However, we also have common interests, and these usually bring us together. Sometimes in the work that we do, like working for same organizations or charities. However, as positive as togetherness is, it can also cause loneliness, depression, and anxiety, as people can feel lonely. And sometimes when we've been in a group all day, going home to no one at night can make you feel very lonely. Our journeys, I've spoken a lot about journeys through this, but we are all on different journeys, and these bring different people from different areas, communities, to come together due to saying yes to different opportunities. And togetherness creates love. We know this because we can see it through the love that we have for one another, for when events happen, for example, a natural disaster. In history, we can see this. We can see this through different movements, the pandemic, and we can see this going back going back loads of years. Again, coming back to history, the World War brought loads of different people together to fight for their country, and the wives of many of those fighting on the front line who waited at home, wishing that they would be able to see their loved ones once again one day, but sometimes this just wasn't possible. However, they never lost that hope, and they always thought that their loved ones would return one day. The cost of living crisis more recently has brought us together. Recession, inflation, which is causing loads of people issues, but it is bringing everyone together to lobby the government for help and support, or support one another by donating to food banks. And climate change. Young influencers like Greta Thunberg, as mentioned by some of the other ambassadors, bringing other young people together to shout about important issues. And finally, being part of something bigger. Uniformed organizations bringing together as a starting point of potentially a career, and movements bringing young people together due to having a common goal or interest, like the iwill movement. And that's a wrap.
Awesome. Round of applause to you, Izzy. Thank you so much. And I love that quote that you just said, or that comment that you made of togetherness creates love. I 100% agree. And so great to see, have you brought in experiences from the past, experiences today and in the future, of how really coming together can make a huge difference and impact, and how we can really come together. There's a lot of love and appreciation for you in the chat box. So round of applause.
Thank you.
Cool. That takes us to the very end of the event. We're actually quite ahead of time, which is not a bad thing, so that for our audience here, you have some time back for your evening. But in the chat box, feel free to share a word or a comment around how you felt from this evening. What are you taking away? What moved you? What inspired you? We would love to hear all about it. Or feel free, again, to use the emoji to show us how you're feeling after hearing from those lovely 6 speakers. So again, I just want to give a round of applause to Beth, to Bavik, to Evan, to Eddie, to Fatima, to Uzi. Am I missing anyone? To our 6 lovely guest speakers this evening. Your presentations were all very unique and different, and we loved hearing the different perspective and points of views that you brought and shared on the theme of together or togetherness this evening. We hope you found it fun and enjoyable. And today's session is just one of the many events and activities that are being delivered this week or this year for iwill Week 2022. So please make sure to visit www.iwill.org.uk to see the full listing of events, activities, and resources. You'll also notice on the homepage that there's a lovely blue button that says #IWillBag. All the different events that will be hosted through the iWill movement, a recording of the event will be saved in that particular iWillBag button. So if there is a guest speaker or an event throughout this week, something that you didn't quite capture or want to come back and relive or re-listen to, all the recordings to the events will be saved in that particular iWillBag throughout this week and a couple of weeks following iWill Week 2022. So if you enjoyed the session today, please tell people about it by sharing it on your social media, tagging @iwill_movement, and make sure to use #iwillweek22 and #PowersYouth on all social media platforms. That's all from me tonight. It's been a pleasure hosting you all, and thank you for coming to our first iWill, I guess technically our second event today for iWill Week. So have a lovely evening, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you at our other events this week. Bye now.